Dedicated women's league to fill the gap between college and professional soccer. A league that's committed to advancing women's soccer, focusing on the development of the female soccer player during the summer months, elevating the competition to help each player reach that next level, providing high-level soccer for collegiate players, aspiring and former professionals, and international stars. Operating with professional standards because players and fans deserve an exceptional experience. Uniting players that inspire and are inspired. We are passionately growing the women's game. The future is bright for United Women's Soccer. It's time. Be part of the movement.
Good morning, soccer fans, and welcome to the UWS Kickoff show. This is week 7, Megan. Week 7.
Week 7. That's crazy.
How was Hawaii?
Oh my goodness. Amazing. What a beautiful, beautiful state. It was so strange to think I was still in America because it felt so like a tropical paradise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, we apologize for last week. Megan was out of town. She was in Hawaii. I was out of town where they had no service whatsoever, and so we could not get a show. But hey, we're back this week with week 7. Lots to talk about, lots to dissect, I guess is what we could say. There's been some changes that have been made to some conferences where we thought one way, and now it's kind of going another. We'll talk about that here, but we'll recap week 6, give you some goals of the week from week 6, while getting you some information from the midweek games of week 7 in the UWS, where it's just chaos now out west. And we'll talk about week 7 coming up. So, Megan, let's go ahead and get started. Week 6 in the UWS concluded. A lot of things in this week, which we expected. I think if we were to have had a show, we would have thought the same way. What were some of the matches that got you thinking and kind of wondering what's going to happen next?
Yeah, I mean, for me, firstly, week 6 was insanely goals galore. Like, so many goals were scored. And I wasn't expecting quite that many. I mean, there was a minimum of 3 goals in every single game, pretty much. Like, it was rare to see a 1-0 score sheet. And I think it was only in the West Conference that we actually saw that. So that was a major takeaway from week 6. And it was difficult for me to watch a lot of the games since I was away traveling, but there was one game that I thought, I have to see this. And if we were doing a show in week 6, I would have previewed it. So I'm going to do the preview and then I'm going to do the recap since we missed the week. So the 2 teams that caught my eye were Erie Commodores and FC Berlin, because these 2 teams, they have history. Like, they joined UWS last season, I'm pretty sure it was, in that Penn New York division, and really like spruce things up because they were just difficult teams to beat that played so hard and for the full 90 minutes. And so I was very excited for them this season, and they played each other back in May, and the game did not disappoint, with FC Berlin starting the game really well, having a 2-0 lead, and then Erie coming back and showing true grit and determination to win that game 3-2. So going into it for week 6, you knew it was going to be producing something special. And it didn't disappoint, because within the first minute and 30 seconds, Erie had already gone 1-0 up, with Rebecca Habersky scoring a really great goal. And then just a few minutes later in the 8th minute, she doubles the lead, putting it to 2-0, which, let's just appreciate that she's a right back. But FC Berlin were just giving her space. She was joining the attack and creating just that extra half a yard and taking a shot on goal, because why not? And really punishing FC Berlin. They were able to kind of gain a little bit of composure, a little bit, but then Erie came back and said, no, it's 3 now. So FC Berlin really found themselves in a hole, kind of like Erie did in the last game when they faced each other. Then in the 30th minute, I don't know if you saw this game, Jonathan, but FC Berlin were awarded a penalty. And I thought it was quite controversial. Did you see the call?
I didn't see it. We can try to find it.
Yeah, we might need to pull this one up because I kind of want some second opinions here. Player was kind of through on goal, driving into the box, and you had a player running like a recovery run beside her, put in a tackle. They both went to ground, and I don't know what the referee saw. I completely respect that the referee would have a better view than anybody watching on the stream, anybody watching in the stands either. But it looked like quite a harsh call. But Tegan Morrison stepped up because when you get a penalty, you have, and she buried it, and she did. It was a great penalty, but definitely a controversial score. And then right before halftime, Tegan Morrison found herself back at the penalty spot. And this time it was a legit penalty, in my opinion, with that handball. And went in at
Megan,
half
real quick, not to cut you off.
So really close game.
I found the footage.
Found the footage. Let's have a look.
What was the time minute on that? I'm pulling it up as we talk. I think I found it.
That was around the 30th minute.
All right, here we go. I think I found it. All right. Let's go ahead and go to the footage. This is a good thing about having all this wonderful. Let's see, can we share the screen? There we go. Screen. Perfect. All right. Here we go. So this is the moment that Megan was talking about. Let's make it big screen here. I don't see a penalty. But again, we don't have VAR, so we don't know.
Yeah, it's always difficult to tell on a stream, but let's go again.
I feel like she's just going to ground on it, like she slipped.
Yeah, I feel like it's just body to body. The defender has every right to be pushing 50-50, like putting some arms on her, yes, but that's how you play.
Okay, no touching. I don't know. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
A questionable one.
I don't see it.
But let us know. Hey, if you think that is a penalty and you have reasoning, let us know. If you were at the game, even better. If you saw something from maybe the opposite side or something, let us know. But yeah. A questionable call. But yeah, 2 penalties in one game within one half. And it was a pretty insane first half. And then, Erie came back out with that same kind of immediate, like, we're ready to play as they did in that first half. And they found a really quick goal to make it 4-2 and 3-2, sorry. And then another one to make it 4-2. And then FC Berlin, they really played down to the final whistle, grabbed one back in the 89th minute, but it was just too late for them to have a second half comeback. So the game finished 5-3 with Erie taking 3 points. Kind of madness.
I mean, if you look at those 3 points were extremely important for Erie. And yeah, now they're sitting at 9, but you've got 3 games left. You've got 7 points from those 3 games. 3 points separates number 9 to number 4. Think about that jump. 9 to 4 is a 3-point gap. So it's just a matter of can you win out and some other teams help you along the way. The biggest piece is going to be, can they continue to win?
Exactly. Can they take that momentum? Because they're very much a team that can score, but a team that can concede. And that's why we see them in these really competitive, high-scoring games, because you never quite know what you're going to get with them, because they can be so solid and so attacking, but also like they can let it slip at the back and they can start a little slow and find themselves going down, or they can let a team back in, which is really difficult. But yeah, if they are able to just stabilize their mentality and hold their own against the teams, and a few other results go their way, they could really find themselves in a good spot.
A really good spot. And I think there's more to be looked at this weekend. We'll get more into that as we talk about week 7. My matchup, I have 2 matchups, Megan, and you're going to have to excuse me. I'm going to take up some airtime here, and you and I can debate on this because, look, I'm going to be excited if this happens, and I think Indiana Union has deserved this. Indiana Union has played a tough, tough team before, and their only loss is to that tough team. That's the Sirens. They made it look kind of easy against Edgewater Castle in a 5-1 win Saturday. That was just absolutely jaw-dropping. You have Jenna Lang and Amelia White, who are just steamrolling this team into an opportunity to beat the Sirens, or perhaps just give them a fit to see who can come out on top of that Midwest division. If you remember last year for the playoffs for UWS, the Midwest team went and played the Great Lakes division for the representation in the national championship. Do we see that again? Those playoff structures have not been given out, but I think if that was the case, it's going to come down to Indiana Union, who at the beginning of the year, I'm going to be very honest, I was not expecting them to be as good as they are. And the Sirens, who we didn't know what we were getting in them. And my goodness, let's talk about a team that can put some balls in the back of the onion bag there. They're doing some good things out that way. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to give a shout out to LASC, the Los Angeles Soccer Club, because they are on a tear as of late. They had to travel, from 745 miles. So they went from home to Arizona. They did the work there. They scored a late winner against FC Arizona. Then not only did they have to do that, they had to jump on a plane after that game to go to my backyard here in Reno and still game there 2-0, which puts them in third place. They only have 3 losses, but then they had a midweek matchup against Calgary that was very, very crucial. So, Megan, what are your thoughts on LASC? Without spoiling midweek, what are your thoughts on LASC heading into last weekend?
Yeah, LASC heading into last weekend had a tough schedule. Back-to-back games with that travel that you talk about. I mean, that is really, really difficult. You have to have a big squad, and they actually used a lot of the same players. Margaret Osmondson had 90 minutes in both of those games, but hey, she came out one offensive player of the week because of her performances in both of those games. She scored crucial goals. That game against FC Arizona was very competitive. That was 2 teams who did not want to lose. That was 2 teams playing tough, and it was a really entertaining game. And it came all the way down. I think LASC scored in like the last minute of that. So yeah, they played really hard, really well. 6-point weekend really puts pressure on Blue Heat and Calgary, and I think the pressure is starting to show.
Let's talk about that, because Calgary last weekend, 14-game winning streak going into this. Blue Heat coming in not wanting to give up any points because they have to make up ground, or they want to get the one over, you can say. Calgary comes out of that matchup with a 1-0 win. Maybelle Dunn, Sarah Kisner, making things happen for Foothills. They were on a tear, now at 15-game winning streak, regular season 15-game winning streak. And the question was streaks made to be broken? Not that weekend, and we thought it was. It was this week, midweek 7. Calgary's traveling to Southern California for 2 matchups, one against LASC, which happened Thursday, and then tonight they play the Blue Heat at College of the Canyons. But let's talk about this LASC Calgary Foothill game real quick for a minute, because that game, let's talk, streaks are made to be broken, and this one was broken.
Yeah, this was a midweek game, I think, is almost where you're going to trip up Calgary, because for me, I feel like on the weekend, their preparation, it goes from morning to kickoff. But I think when you've got those midweek travel games, you do have players that have to work and have to kind of have their focuses a little bit, not quite fully on the game. And when you're a team like Calgary, that is very routine. We saw in the national championship last year how just focused they are, methodical they are in their approach and their preparation. And one has to assume that their preparation was hindered going into that game. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, travel does that. Travel does that. I don't know the travel logistics, but I know when Calgary does travel, they travel with physios and everything else. So I don't know if that's a way to look at it, but
I don't think it's necessarily the travel of the game, because I think they travel on the weekends and they come out fine. I think it was the midweek travel that made it different, because players were not in their normal, like, it's the weekend, we travel, we have the whole Saturday is dedicated to soccer. We're also working and balancing life at this point.
Yeah, the routine is definitely broken midweek. You can see that. It happens all the time in other sports. We see it in college football. We see it in college basketball, where the midweek just gets you. And this is no different. I mean, most of these athletes are college, or they're working individuals. So, yeah, I mean, it makes it a little more difficult for sure when trying to adjust. And then obviously, if you're traveling on a Thursday game, that means you're probably traveling Wednesday. Maybe if you're Calgary Tuesday, just to get comfortable in the situation. But then you go out against a team in LASC who's been on fire and building momentum.
And like, you've got that underdog, like, there's no pressure on you. Nobody is expecting LASC to beat Calgary. Like, the expectations are, the percentages are, Calgary is likely to win that game. And so when you come in and you're like, you know what, let's just go out there and have fun. Let's put a stop to them and let's see if we can grab one ourselves and just enjoy the game, take the moment. It's a big occasion where we get to play one of the best teams within the UWS.
Yep.
And they stood tall, they stood strong, and they showed that they're competitive too, and that they can take on, like I said, one of the best teams in the UWS.
So Calgary goes down 2-1 LASC. That was Thursday night. So the curtain closing on that game in LA leaves open a lot of different scenarios. Now, we know that the win has given hope to LASC. It's going to take a little bit of work for them to get into the playoff picture. But my question would be, look, with the West Conference being so strong and the Southwest Conference having, 4 teams, could the league be looking at a number 2 seed versus the number 1 seed in the Midwest for the final playoff spot?
Wait, so Midwest versus
so the top
West?
the top Midwest team plays the second seed or whoever takes second in the Western Conference. Ooh.
Dun, dun, dun. That would be very, very entertaining. And I mean, we said it last year that we would love to see more cross-conference competition, because it's so hard for us to understand just how good Indiana Union are, for example, because we haven't been able to see them come up against teams that we have now got experience of seeing in person. Like, having seen Calgary play, you can get a way better understanding of like the speed of play and just how high quality those players are. So yeah, watching the stream and watching in person is very different. And watching in person really is just such a testament to the level that the UWS is, because it's mind-boggling how talented and how quickly these players move the ball. And so, yeah, I would love to see more cross competition. I want to see FC Buffalo playing outside of the East Conference to see how they match up against some other conferences. There's so much opportunity. So I am here for that.
I'm here for that as well. We'll see what happens, see if the league is paying attention to what we're saying, because I think that's the way to go. I think you're going to have 2 strong Western Conference teams that could beat anybody in the league, but who are we? We're just pundits at this point. But with week 6, sorry, we jumped into week 7 to give you guys a little taste of what had happened, because it's chaos. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But Megan, your goal of the week.
Goal of the week was an interesting one this week, because I felt like there were so many. I think it was a total of like 82 goals, which is kind of nuts. And for goal of the week this week, there was some really different ones. Do you have the video, Jonathan?
Oh, we're ready to go.
We're ready to go. Yeah. So we've got 4 nominations here. You've still got the classic outside of the box banger, but you've also got some differences. Let's take a look. So Hannah Sawyer will lead us off.
All right, tell us before we show the goal. I'm seeing offsides just from the video. Whoever cut this video, they're
No,
offsides.
she is dribbling already.
Oh, never mind. Okay,
And
I thought I didn't see the defenders because the screen. All right, so what's gonna happen?
This is straight from kickoff. Hannah Sawyer pretty much dribbles down the field, cuts inside, beats all these players, and just puts it in the back of the net within 12 seconds. Arguably the quickest goal in UWS history.
So when this game ended, the first thing I get was a text message from Jake, and he's just like, fastest goal in the UWS question mark. I'm like, I don't know. I got to go to the archives. 14 seconds. I can't find a goal that was scored faster than 14 seconds. Now, Chicago did have the kickoff. Or sorry, RBFC had it and lost possession. So within 7 seconds of losing, or they lost possession the first 7, and then Hannah goes in and just finds the back of the net. Little cutback, little finish. I mean, you've got the fastest there, right?
Yeah, I mean, what a way to start the game. Hannah Sawyer ended up scoring, I believe, a hat trick that game. Nominated into Team of the Week. Yeah, like that's a standout moment for sure. Fantastic.
Right, next goal.
Finish. Then this one, I'm going to give you some broader perspective of this. Margaret Osmondson is our offensive player of the week. This was the game-winning goal against FC Arizona, coming down to the wire in the 89th minute. A long ball is coming into the box, and you can see she has her back to goal.
You can see the cursor. I'm going over the ball. The ball's way up here.
So LASC in white. Here it comes.
It's like she hit it with the back of her head.
The flick on kind of like reminds me a little bit of like Robert Van Persie style, like down to the wire, just throw your body at it. You can't really see too much of what's going on, but you just know, as a high quality soccer player, you know where the goal is and you know you're trying to score.
Yeah, it is back of the head. Hits it with the bun.
Hits it with the bun.
It's a bun goal. All right. Everybody's excited here. All right, what do we got here?
All right, here we have a Legends goal. I think this is the first time Legends have made it into Goal of the Week nominations. This is a cheeky one. The ball is going to come across from the left wing, a ball across, and look at how Lauren Carrico handles this ball to make sure it goes into the back of the net.
Oh, she scorpioned it a little bit. Well, not scorpioned it, but backheeled it.
Yeah, a little back heel coming on.
It's very Zlatan right there. All right. One more time.
Very creative.
I mean, you have, as a forward, you have to be creative. If you go back to some of the best poacher goals, Solskjaer is a poacher goal scorer. Chicharito was a goal scorer who would do that. Sam Kerr is that way, I would like to think. She finds the opportunities and she just buries them. So
the natural like goal instincts, the pouncing on whatever you can get.
But look at the like, oh, I've done this in training, or I've done this before. Like nonchalant, shrug of the shoulders. Here we go. Watch. Yeah, no big deal. Just scored a goal. No biggie. All right, here we go. Last one.
Last goal. This is Brooke Bailey of Indiana Union. She had a fantastic game. We spoke a little bit about Indiana Union earlier because they are a team that knows how to score. And the power and finesse in this strike from Bailey from the top of the box is very, very impressive. So look closely. You've got Bailey like at the 18-yard sort of mark.
Looks humid. I'm out. Ooh.
Just rifles it into the top corner.
Did it deflect? It looks. Here it comes out. Nope. Just carried. Just the angle.
Yeah, just the power in that strike. That's a banger for sure.
Well,
And
head
that's
on.
kind of the more classic goal of the week nomination that you
Yep.
see along the lines of Brooke Bailey. But we had just some unique goals being scored this week. And so it's quite interesting. And I'm very curious to see how the votes go.
Well, head over to Twitter at UWS Soccer on Twitter and cast your vote for the goal of the week. I don't even know. We don't have a sponsor for that. We need a sponsor for that.
Yeah, we don't have a goal sponsor for goal or save.
Yeah, we need sponsors for that. We're gonna have to step up some Roughneck Scarves or somebody to help us out. Maybe a coffee company, because it's 5 a.m. still here, West Coast time, but we'll figure it out.
That's true. Maybe Bang could sponsor it, because we're talking about bangers.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Let's see if we can make that happen. So let me go into Twitter. I'll give you the idea of where we sit. Unfortunately, I have to vote. I don't know if there's. I'm gonna go swear. Bailey is actually up at 44%. 20 hours left. That was 4 hours ago. So
interesting. Yeah. So I think Bailey has somewhat of the advantage, given that her goal is more the classic. But often we've had this theory of, if your goal is number 1 or 2, you're more likely to win, because maybe people get to watch that twice. As like, you watch it again, and then you just vote and you don't watch it all the way through the second time. So interesting to see Bailey leading. We've got 20 hours left of voting, so anything can happen. Head over to at UWS Soccer to get your vote in.
On Twitter. Save of the week. Last week, I believe you had Erin Ware in there, and she won save of the week. The defender coming back and making a goal line save. Did you have anything cool like that this week, Megan?
Nothing cool like that this week, unfortunately. That was a fun one though, because when I submitted what was going to happen, I had to put in parentheses midfielder, because she was playing the CDM role, and yet she had been nominated for save of the week. So that's pretty cool. This week we had just 3 nominations. Sometimes when you have 82 goals, it's hard to find some saves. But we have 3 pretty solid nominations here. So coming up first is going to be Hannah Johnson with a penalty save that she then pounces on against FC Buffalo nonetheless. FC Buffalo are very critical from the spot. So this was a big moment.
7-game winning streak, just making things happen. That's what Buffalo's been notorious for. But also, we've seen what happens in Buffalo if things get too heated for them. They kind of, well, the Bills at least. I won't go in there. I don't want Buffalo to hate me today. All right, here we go. So penalty from the spot. Hannah Johnson with the save, able to jump on over and get back to the ball after making the save. Again, not easy to do. It's a 50-50 opportunity, right? But if you know how to read the taker, Hannah was able to do that and make the save, parry it away, and go from there. So that's good. All right, number 2.
Next up is Ellie Breach from Lancaster Inferno. Now, this is her 2nd week in a row receiving a nomination, coming in clutch with a really big save here. That just shows that nobody is messing with her 18-yard box. So take a look at this one. She's showed throughout the game that she's commanding her 18 and forcing her opponents to shoot from distance. And that's where she's very comfortable at making those long-range saves. So really good job here to Ellie.
I like the parry save. I do. I'm actually spending more time learning about goalkeeping. Harper, my 6-year-old daughter, wants to be a goalkeeper. So with the club that she plays for, she has goalkeeper training 2 days a week on top of her regular team training 2 days a week. So for a 6-year-old, she's training 4 days a week. And the goalkeeping training has been phenomenal. But I'm learning a lot. Like, there's ways to make sure that you're making save after save. And I like this. This is a good one. And the rollover too, the Neymar rollover at the end. Did you see the Neymar rollover? I like it.
You gotta make it dramatic. I feel like Harper will see that and be like, I gotta roll after.
I mean, you have to roll after. Otherwise, you just fall. Like, you have to kind of create that momentum. But good save there. All right. And then
That's
number
very
3.
what's the word? Like a by the book save. Like that's
Yep.
how you're supposed to do it. Technically sound.
Textbook save.
Yes. And the last one is this was a really close game. It ended 1-1. And Worcester Fuel really showed that they can compete in the UWS and really put out a strong performance. And this is Sky Smith with a big save here. It's an interesting one because the ball is kind of moving slow, but I think that you can tell she saw it late and was able to get there.
Let's talk about Worcester for a minute, because over the last few years, it's been one of those things where you just don't know what's going to happen. 2021, they went with 0 wins. Last year, they got a draw and they had a point to their name. This year, their first draw was against a team like Maine Footy, who's been absolutely just doing what they need to do. They've been very consistent. Their style of play is been very good. And so for Worcester to come out and play the way they did this game shows a lot of grit and determination, but it also shows that, hey, they're capable.
Absolutely. I was a little bit surprised by this scoreline. I think going into the weekend, I really thought Maine Footy had it in the bag, but yeah, Worcester Fuel really showed up and showed out. Got the first point of the season. Hopefully, many more to come for them.
Let's see. We'll finish that season and we'll talk about that when we get into week 7. But here we go. I don't know if she saw it late. I think she just didn't think it was going on goal. Maybe it took a weird bounce off one of those little.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, maybe it was that she didn't think it was coming goalwards and then kind of thought, actually, wait, that could sneak in at the far post.
And this is crucial because this is 12 minutes in or 13 minutes in. So let's see. No, she reads it. She reads it. I just don't think. I think she might have slipped or her footing got wrong. Or her footing got wrong. All right. Well, hey, good save.
Yeah, 3 solid saves. So get your votes in over on Twitter and we'll see who comes out on top.
Right now, Johnson is in the lead, 50%. Obviously, 8 votes. Lots of hours to go. See what happens. But hey, let's give everybody an update on the standings here. I think that's important. We haven't done that in a while, and I think it's important to understand where everybody sits. So they're playing 7 games out in the Great Lakes Division. As you can see here, the Great Lakes Division, the Legends are on top, Megan, and I think this is important because this is the first time in this many games with 2 games left. Corktown is actually in second, and not Corktown. I apologize. The Michigan Hawks, we got to make adjustments on the website here, are sitting in second. And I don't know if they're used to that yet.
Yeah, I think the Legends have really come out strong this season and showed what they're about. And yeah, how can the Hawks overcome it? They've got to just keep pushing through and hope that the Legends slip up.
Slip up, they have to. And the Hawks have slipped up. They've got a draw and a loss to their name. They had a loss against the Nationals SC midweek that kind of put a little bit of a wrinkle in their season, but we'll see. And the Nationals are sitting nice and pretty too, having only played 3 games. They've got 9 points out of those 3 games and could be contesting the Legends for that last spot. We'll see what happens as they go on in the Summer of Soccer in UWS. And so with that, the Midwest would travel in the perspective of us and what happened last year. The number 1 team in the Midwest would go to play the number 1 team in the Great Lakes Division. Currently, Cincinnati is holding that. The only blemish is that 2-2 draw their first game out against Edgewater. Indiana's just right there. The goal differential isn't much. But at the end of the day, that one loss that Indiana has came from a 3-0 loss to the Sirens.
Was it a 3-0 loss? Oh, gotta have a look at that. Let me see.
But regardless, I think that's important to look at because the goal differential is only 4. Indiana's played 1 less game than the Sirens. It's going to come down to the wire. I think the next opportunity that the Union get, they have to be able to seize that, right?
It was a 2-0 loss to the Sirens.
Right, so
yeah, first game of the season
for the Union.
Yeah, because then they also conceded to Edgewater, but they won 3.
All right. So that matchup will be interesting. Who can take it? And
Very
can
interesting. We'll
if the
see the
Sirens
Sirens and Indiana Union play on July 1st. So we got a little bit of time before
next
then.
weekend.
They have two more games. They're playing against Chicago Rush tomorrow at 4.
Well, we will see. Chicago Rush is an interesting team. They've only played one game, so I wouldn't put everything into that 3-0 loss for the Rush. But I'm definitely interested to see what happens and how they're able to adjust from their matchup I believe it was 14 days ago. We'll talk a little bit about that. Out east is where we've got just pandemonium.
Pandemonium indeed.
Maine Footy has a chance if they can win out. Obviously, some things have to happen. Buffalo on top. Sporting Connecticut at second. We have Coppermine, who played a midweek game. They're in third. The Mutiny, Steel City, Albany, Lancaster, and BC United, a very interesting team to think about, all in the 8. So if the playoffs were to begin today, those teams would be in. The way the East is set up is kind of interesting. A lot of teams, only 8 spots. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of teams. The East is so competitive. It really draws a lot of the attention in the UWS because it's fascinating to watch. And I do wonder if Sporting Connecticut are kind of do what CT Fusion did all those years ago, where they kind of slide under the radar of everybody and just come out and take it all. I think Buffalo and Coppermine are the two teams that kind of are capturing the attention and getting the eyes, and Sporting are like sliding a little bit under that radar. It's going to be really close between those 3 teams, but I do think that they have showed me that they are the most consistent and that they are the most like attacking powers within the East Conference right now.
Question on YouTube from Wooster Ray. Yes, you can count Facebook for Save of the Week. So we'll make sure we get on that as well. So you can head over to Facebook for Goal and Save of the Week. We will add that information to Twitter. But yeah, this division has it. Look, you can't sleep on Lancaster Inferno either. They came out, their first 2 matches were not, they played Coppermine, they lost. They won the return leg. Next match out, they got a draw. So they got better, and now they've won 3 in a row. Can they sustain? Can they jump back in the table? Can they leapfrog, the likes of Mutiny, Steel City? We'll see, but
definitely there is the potential for it. It's not over until it's over, and Lancaster are finding the momentum and they just need to carry it forward. I've always been a big fan of the Inferno. I like the way that they play. I think they've got a really strong brand within the club. The girls have like a great culture. So yeah, I think that stands for a lot in the UWS if you have a team that feels like a family and that can carry you through. And so maybe we'll see that this season.
Heading out to the Southwest, I did call it the Southwest. I'm behind. Luxuria Athenians, who we thought were dead in the water after that early first match loss to the Blues, who, since that win, the Blues have kind of gone the other way. And the Athenians kind of got a wake-up call. Can they catch Luxuria? We'll see. I don't know if there's much there. But, again, only having 4 teams, I would love to see the Southwest Division take on the number 2 seed from the West, just to give us a little bit. And look, I'm sure whoever is playing number 2 for the West will be more than happy to travel to you, which they should, to play for the right in the national championship. I just like that idea.
I like that idea too. I mean, it makes sense to me. And with the West and the Southwest being kind of smaller, it makes sense that would happen. And the Southwest is very interesting this year with just 4 teams, because the Southwest has kind of had a history for being one of the like really tight, kind of well-known leagues of the UWS. And this season, it's definitely a different story for them. And the Athenians started slower, but they came back out and beat Austin, Texas Blues in the second leg. And they're starting to find their momentum again. So who knows? Maybe they can take it to Luxoria, but having that blemish on your record, it doesn't go away.
Nope. Once you have that middle column that's not a goose egg, it changes the whole dynamic of the season, as we can see with the Western Conference. Oh my goodness. The Western Conference is it's interesting. You've got LASC, who's played 6 matches. They've got 9 points out of those 6 with 3 losses and 3 wins. Look, that's not a bad record to have. Not bad at all, because it does allow you to have a lot of opportunity. Will they make it to number 2? No. I can say that I feel as though they've done the job and they've helped their friends out at SC Blue Heat.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's enough to jump into 2 unless Calgary just has an SC Blue Heat just have a giant conniption. Again, SC Blue Heat has 2 games in hand on Calgary.
Yeah, I
and
thought they
LASC.
only had 1 game in hand. That
The midweek
that
game
depressing team just 4 games played. So I almost wonder, I'm going to put this out there. Do you think SC Blue Heat try to make their schedule so that they play the games kind of later and that they kind of get a better feel for where they really need to get their wins and kind of play it that way? I don't know how much influence these teams have over their schedules, but I feel like SC Blue Heat are almost in a better position, having played the least number of games in this division, to kind of know what their game plan needs to be.
I think their travel and the accommodations from College of the Canyons kind of makes it a little tricky for them being able to get the field space. But they have, and Calgary makes it harder because Calgary does the trips where they go 2-2. So
True.
they'll play 2 matches. They'll play 1 midweek. They'll play 1 on Saturday. They did that for Arizona. They did that for Reno. So they played those 2 games. So they went down to Arizona, worked their way back to Reno on the way home. And then for LA, they played LASC Thursday. Tonight they play Blue Heat. So they try to make their schedule a little bit easier as it relates to travel, whereas Blue Heat doesn't have to do that. They go to Calgary, okay, they play and they come home. They don't go to Calgary to Reno because they play Reno at the end of the year. And then they went Arizona and then played LASC. So it's like, all right, well, I don't know if they had much to do with it.
Yeah, but it definitely, to me, gives them the advantage knowing that they have 2 games in hand and they have the power to make whatever they need to happen. Obviously, preparation is only so much. You have to go out and execute, and everybody gets the same 90 minutes to do so. But I do feel that Blue Heat have some advantage knowing that they have 2 games in hand.
After tonight's matchup, Calgary has a break until July 7th, and then they're done. Their regular season has concluded, whereas Blue Heat, their last matchup is July 15th, South Lake Tahoe. So we'll see what happens. I'm actually going to be at that game. We're going to do that one live. We're going to try to do it live on the Twitter page for UWS. We're going to try to do it live.
That'd be awesome.
I'm working on my son's camera ability just to be able to use the camera to do it, but we're gonna find out. We're gonna make it happen. Whether it's on the UWS Weekly Twitter or if it's on the league, we'll find out, because that's gonna be a decider. Perhaps it could depend on what happens today. That matchup will be the deciding match.
Today's matchup is huge. That is kicking off. I know we're talking standings right now, but that game is kicking off tonight at 7:30 Pacific time, and I'm pretty sure the crowd is going to be massive. If you can attend that in person, it's 2 of the best teams in the UWS. Like, I'm going to say it. They really are. They're so high quality, and it's going to be such a battle because there's a lot to play for.
Lots to play for. We'll find out. Kickoff for that one, 7:30 on 11. Make sure you check it out. This is one of those games where it could be a deciding factor on a lot of things. I personally have two friends who are coaching in this match in HUD and in Lee and with Ludi. So we'll see. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a fun match. I'm just mad I'm not there.
Yeah, me too. I think that's going to be insane. The fact that Calgary dropped points, like, it's almost like a big shock and a big upset, even though, like, LASC is a strong team and they've shown that they can compete with the best of the best. But to drop points just blows things wide open. And so this game has a lot riding on it.
Knowing Tux, I'm not sure what his feelings are about it, but I'm sure he's saying something along the lines like, look, we just need to regroup, we refocus, and we'll be fine. We just got to go out and get a win today, recover, rest. And it might have even been where he was like, okay, well, we could rest our players a little bit. I don't know. I don't know what the thought process is. It's a midweek game. Now you've got to really bring it tonight. Tonight you got to bring it.
Yeah, and I truly believe that Calgary are the type of team who focuses on the game at present. So I don't think that in that matchup against LASC that they were thinking about their Blue Heat game. They're all we know their approach, having been like privileged to speak to them multiple times. They were fully focused on that LASC game. And I think that if any team can regroup after a loss and come back out and play well and get another win, it's Calgary. They have really solid approaches.
Can they recover? That is the million-dollar question, and I think they will. I think we'll see a different Calgary team tonight on the pitch that comes out ready to just put the nail in the coffin, as you could say, to get it done. Midweek 7 had a lot of matchups. I think some of the matchups that we saw, we had the Nationals beat the Michigan Hawks. Keystone, Lancaster coming out with a win, 2-1 in that one. Steel City, a team that we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the year, have kind of fallen off the radar a bit. Beat Erie 3-2, team that had that big comeback win. Buffalo is just going to keep buffaloing. 11, undefeated and not finished is the headline there. 11-1. You want to make sure there's no questions about them. Their ability, whatever they do, 3 matches left. This is kind of a nice spot for FC Buffalo. Remember last year they went to the national championship without some key players because they had to go back to college. Look, they're in a position now with the regular season all but spoken for them as a number 1 seed to give some of their players a little bit of run, get the legs under them, get them ready in case something like that happens again where they lose those players. Because let's be honest, the Buffalo team that we saw at the national championship was not the Buffalo team that we had seen during the regular season in the playoffs. I think the group in Buffalo has done a very good job of making sure that, hey, this year's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to have depth, especially with players going on international duty, players going back to college. There's things that are going to happen at this point in the season that means your squad might not be available like it was at the very start. And so depth truly comes into it because you need to be able to rely on those players. And you can't just come into the playoff part of the season and then say, hey, time to get your first minutes of the season. No, you've got to have more rotation. And we definitely have seen that in FC Buffalo this season. They've been putting players in, they've been sharing out the minutes and still putting in solid performances and getting 3 points week in, week out. So yeah, there's definitely depth in that squad.
My bad. I forgot to put the logo up earlier. And then the last matchup that took place Thursday was the LASC Calgary game, which we've touched upon a lot. I think that's a big thing. Again, it changes the landscape of the West. We'll see what Calgary does tonight. 7:30 kickoff on 11. Now, Megan, let's talk a little bit about games that are going to be happening today and tomorrow here in the UWS. What game has your eye?
Okay, so of course we've already covered SC Blue Heat and Calgary because that was, of course, my number one game alongside many UWS fans, I'm sure. But the other game that has caught my attention is happening in the Southwest, and that's the San Antonio Athenians versus the San Antonio Runners, because who doesn't love a derby? And that's the San Antonio Derby. Jonathan, do you have a more creative name, or are we just going with San Antonio Derby?
Oh, I put down the Riverwalk.
The Riverwalk. Okay, I like
Put down
it.
the Riverwalk Derby. Now, whether I know, look, if we had Katie, I know Katie has a different name for it, and she's the San Antonio professional. But I went. Whoa, oh man, person who did this, I swear, the person who does the recap or the previews, the essay did not slide over. All right, I need to do a better job.
I actually remember it being called the Riverwalk Derby last year and really struggling to say it quick.
Oh,
You remember that? We're like, Riverwalk Derby, Riverwalk Derby.
Okay, tongue twister for you, tongue twister.
But yes, this is going to be a good game because the Runners are yet to find 3 points. The Athenians are starting to find their rhythm after dropping their first game. They turned around and beat the Blues 3-0 after that. So they're really finding their feet. They're getting back to the way that they were. And last time out, these two teams played a very close game and Athenians came out on top 1-0. I think this is going to be a really good game.
Should be a good game. Look, the Athenians have I think found their stride a little bit, and Mia and a couple of the other players are ready to go. I'm not sure. Let's see what happens. And Clarkson's there playing defense. Gosh, it's a stacked roster. It's just a matter of can they put it together. They've slowly started to. I think slowly. I think my matchup this week, we're going out to last year's national championship site, New England Mutiny, Sporting Connecticut. Top seed possibilities on the line. Sporting first year in the UWS. Look, back in 2021, FC Buffalo was top of the East and had a slip up in the playoffs as the number one seed. So maybe the number one seed isn't for everybody, but I think Sporting Connecticut wants that top seed. They want to come out and provide themselves an opportunity to get to that spot. Now, the New England Mutiny, meanwhile, last year, the conference semifinal, they lost on their way to the playoff in the final at home, and just it didn't have the same feel not having a home team in the final.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. It definitely leaves a sour taste in your mouth when you know you were so close. You've got 4 teams traveling to play on your field, and you truly believe that you are a competitive side and could be capable of beating those teams. So they definitely have extra momentum and extra revenge to get this season, knowing that.
I remember getting getting some hard comments because I said you're national champion and it wasn't the home team. Like, they're not our national champion. It wasn't a slight, but that's how you pronounce team. Like, you're not your UWS national champion. They didn't like it anyway. I just went back and rewatched the final from last year to kind of give me some idea, and there were some comments that I'm like, ooh, you're salty. Yeah. Albany Rush and Maine Footy, another game. Look, Maine Footy's got to get back on track. That 1-1 draw with Worcester does not make anybody feel good, does not help your playoff aspirations. So I think they have to come out and have a better performance today on the road, by the way, not at home. They've just got to do some work.
Yeah, I wonder how I feel like the East Conference is very difficult to know how far the travel is because I'm just not familiar with up in that area. I wonder how far of a commute that is for Maine going into Albany to play.
Well, I'll give you an idea. It's a lot closer than driving from LA to Reno.
Okay.
Or having to fly from Calgary to Arizona. Very
true, but also when you've got the teams that are flying, typically they're going up the day before and they're preparing. When you've got the East Conference, a lot of those teams driving day of.
Yeah, so I mean it's a 2-hour drive. Maybe,
okay, that's not bad. Not bad.
I think the league has said your furthest travel for UWS League One. I know League Two is a little different. There's some teams that have to go 4 hours, but for League One for UWS, I think it's only a 2.5 hour connection between the two.
That's pretty good then, yeah. That's definitely going to be a very interesting game, though. Looking to see how Maine Footy respond after a disappointing week last week to be pretty brutal.
Can Steel City steal points against Coppermine?
Coppermine, to me, are a very solid team. Alyssa Minnick just won Goalkeeper of the Week, and I think that's going to boost her confidence, and she's already shown that she's very commanding at the back. She's a complete goalkeeper, one that will save shots, one that will build up from the back, one that's a vocal presence for her team, a true leader. It's going to take a lot from Steel to put one past her.
Cincinnati Sirens hosting Edgewater Castle. Last match out 2-2. This one 7 p.m. tonight, Fairfield Stadium. Megan, what do you see coming out of this one?
I see this one being very close. The Sirens, I think, are really coming into their own. The first time I saw them, I was so impressed with their speed of play. But Edgewater can be very tactical, and I think that they're going to have a very smart approach to this game. And so I think we'll see Edgewater probably sit back a little bit and look to hit the Sirens on the counter. This one's going to be very interesting. That's kicking off at 7 p.m. tonight Eastern time. So
my question for this would be, how do you go through? It's 25-0 the last 4 games for Sirens.
Jeez.
Yeah, I caught you by surprise. 25-0 last 4 out for Sirens. Can Edgewater make a late run and get points from this one? You're saying it's possible if they counter. My question is, will Cincinnati concede?
Yeah, we haven't really seen them tested that much. So yeah, I feel like they could be susceptible to be scored on if the right team is going to test them, and Edgewater have shown they compete.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. All matches that we talk about in terms of time are all Eastern, so that kickoff for Blue Heat and Calgary is going to happen at 4:30 Pacific, so a little more light outside. So if you're watching at 7:30 back east, you're going to see some golden skies here in California.
Beautiful.
You know, hey, it's probably in the 80s kickoff time at College of the Canyons. So we'll see what happens. Not Tahoe.
Indeed.
Not Tahoe.
I was in California earlier this week, and much better weather than the first time when I was there, because now I was able to experience the blue skies. But the heat is definitely, it's not anything in comparison to Florida. That was surprising to me. The heat is like, it's not sticky. Like
It's
if you
dry.
go into the shade, like it's okay. Like you can cool down. Not in Florida.
Yeah, no. Florida's the humidity will get you. California is just a dry heat. Like if you have seasonal allergies, you just go outside for a hot minute, you're clear. You're good. And then you go back inside. But we haven't had any. Normally by this time of year, we're seeing hundreds in temperature. No, not this year. We're only seeing 80s, 90s right now, which is nice. So hopefully it will continue. Knock on wood, because it gets hot in California. So pack your sunscreen next time, huh? But, well, hey, everybody, thank you for joining us today for the UWS Kickoff Show. We hope that you guys are ready for some UWS action as we get closer to the playoffs. Only about 2 more weeks left, Megan, in the regular season. 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks, because July 15th. So 3 more weeks of regular season play. And the national championship, July 21st and 22nd? No, 22nd, 23rd. 22nd, 23rd. I'm getting ever so closer to just saying it. Everything. So July 22nd, 23rd, have those dates reserved for potential travel for the national championship in the UWS. Well, you will have to travel regardless because everybody's everywhere. So we'll see.
Yes, it should be good. There's big games happening this weekend. We'll have a look next weekend, see where everything stands, who was able to shake it up, who was able to put a stop to some of those teams that are on big winning streaks. It's going to be a good one. I'm very excited.
Well, everybody, until next Saturday, have a great week. Enjoy the Saturday and Sunday of soccer, and we'll talk to you guys next Saturday morning. Thanks for your time, everybody. Have a good rest of the day.